fellow language learning nerds, welcome to another video, a video in which I think it's time I give another little update on my language learning. We kind of just passed the halfway point for the year, so I figured this is probably a good time to take stock of what's been happening in my language learning. Before I get into any specifics of maybe what I've been doing or what I want to do, as a little general overview, I'd say for the first half of this year, I feel like my Japanese has been at a bit of a steady level. Like, there hasn't been any particular increase, there hasn't been any particular decrease either, but it's been a nice kind of maintenance level sort of language thing. I feel like that's been that way for most of this year, I think, which I want to say I'm a bit disappointed in that. However, I'm not going to be disappointed in that because one, I think it's fine to take some time to just keep your level at your own level. You don't have to force the increase constantly. But also because I have for the last couple of months been studying another language, and that is sign language, British Sign Language to be specific. I think I have definitely mentioned this a few times in previous videos. But yeah, I feel like of all the times for Japanese to go into just a nice maintenance mode, this has been the perfect time for it to do that. So I can have a nice maintenance level for Japanese while my brain is like, trying to learn some sign language at the same time. Now, I know I'm like always talking about Japanese on this channel, and that is the main focus that I want to chat about here. But I am going to give a little bit of time to sign language because that's been the biggest kind of languagey thing that I've been doing very recently. So I want to talk about that, and then afterwards I'm going to get into a couple more things that I want to do for Japanese going forward for like the rest of this year. Okay, so I've done level 1 for sign language, so it's just the basics, so don't expect me to be showing off with any sign language, nowhere near doing anything like that, just absolute basic level. But the classes for that have been great, so great. I've really enjoyed learning it. It's been really fascinating learning language in this way. It's been really cool. I've really loved it. And very recently, like a few days ago, I took my final exam for sign language level 1. So if you're doing level 1, you have 3 kind of exams, and by exams I mean each one is like maximum 5 minutes of you talking with the teacher. The second and third one are recorded and sent to a exam invigilator. The first one you just do with your teacher, but yeah, the second and the third one get officially marked by Signature, who run the exam. They give you the marks basically. So yeah, and I recently finished that. I did all 3. So yeah, I finally did number 3. I think very recently on Twitter I did post about having passed the first one, because you just do that one with the teacher marks that one, so we actually got our results pretty quickly for that. But for the second and the third one, and so basically for overall the entire level, gonna have to wait a good few weeks before I get my results on that one. And hopefully I will pass. I feel for the first one, as I say, I passed. For the second one, I feel pretty confident that I did good on that one. Like, I feel like I'm gonna pass. I would be surprised if I didn't do that one. The third one though, I feel like I might have made some mistakes in that, so I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna pass the third one. I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know. I'm gonna try not to think about it until the results come. I might make a video specifically comparing my experience of taking the sign language exams and the JLPT exams, because, well, not only, I mean, they are, like, how you take the exam is very different, completely different. One is purely just you sit down listening and reading and just like and the other one is you're having an actual conversation with someone that's being video recorded, right? That's very different. But I might want to talk about how I felt during those exams, because I felt very different between the two, and I thought it was kind of interesting. So I might talk about that, and I might talk about that soon or something. I don't know. Anyway, it might be a future video. So yeah, now with that exam done and that course done, I'm kind of looking to the future now for the rest of the year, in which I know that mainly Japanese is going to be my main focus again. If I do end up doing level 2 for sign language, that probably won't be until next year. So I do have a bit of time. So my sign language can go into a maintenance mode and Japanese can be Okay, so to Japanese, looking forward, what do I want to be doing? What things might I be focusing on going forward? So I've written 3 things down here that I wanna highlight. One is that it's the one that I always say, I want to concentrate on my listening. I want to, that's my weakest skill. It's always been my weakest skill. It probably will always be my weakest skill. And so naturally, this is now my obligatory moment to tell myself, concentrate on your listening. Another thing I want to kind of focus on, not like have a big main focus on, but make it a official part of my routine, and that's writing my little diary in the morning before work. So I think I might have mentioned this before, that I go to work early so I can sit in the cafeteria and have a little bit of breakfast, and sometimes I do a bit of studying there, and that little study session has been a bit of a mixture of things, like a bit of grammar or writing a diary or doing vocab or something. It's been whatever I've kind of felt like. There's not been any focus with that, but I feel like writing a diary, being like you are going to write a diary thing about things that you are doing or have been happening, I feel like will really help, because it's focusing on me talking about real life stuff. At the moment, I feel like when I write the diary, it's a mixture of very, very plain basic stuff, like being like, I woke up at 7, I got on the bus, I went to work. But sometimes I'm able to put in things like, I did this and it made me feel like this. So sometimes it gets a little bit more complicated in its grammar structures, and then it goes back to being like, I had a muffin. But I feel like if I work on that, I could steadily improve that, and it will help me focus on what vocabulary I might need in my daily life. And that leads me on to the next thing, is that I'm getting back into Anki again. So I've used Anki several times in the past. You've probably heard it before because it is a popular flashcard app. But in case you haven't, it's just an app. You can have it on your computer or on your phone. And it's just basically a digital flashcard app where you can create your own flashcards to help you learn vocabulary. You can obviously use it for language learning, but you can use it for any sort of subject that you kind of want to learn lots of information of. So yeah, I think I want to get back into that. So yeah, I used it before for learning vocabulary, and I had found it useful, but I found that after a while of using it, I would then using something like Anki over time would just become a bit of a chore and a bit of and I wouldn't enjoy doing it. So then I feel like whenever something like that happens in your language learning, it's time, that's your brain telling you, I need to do something different. It's not working as well anymore, let's try and find something different. So then I stopped doing Anki for a while, but I think the time has come to bring it back. Because I've found recently with my Japanese, I keep coming across vocabulary that I'm keep getting stuck in, like trying to do a sentence and then I'm like, oh yeah, I don't know that word. Maybe I'll use this alternative word, which I also don't know. And so I felt like vocabulary recently has been tripping me up. So I'm going to, I recently downloaded Anki again, and I'm going to make myself some flashcards, but I'm gonna do it slightly differently than usual. So before, if I knew, I was like, right, I'm gonna make myself some flashcards, I would then go and I would find loads of vocabulary and have them all written down, and then spend ages just putting them all into Anki, and then I would do all of this work, and then I would be like, okay, now I have to go through all the Anki decks. But I feel this time I'm just going to get a small collection of words and put them in and be doing those, and then as I'm studying, whenever I come across a new word or I have to look a new word up, I will be like, oh, okay, let's now add that into Anki. So recently I had to look up the word for eczema, and I had no idea what that was in Japanese, and I'm like, that is a word that could come up in my daily life because I have eczema, so that is a word that I'm going to put in there. So yeah, like, so as I come across words, I'm going to add it, so that slowly over time the Anki deck will get bigger and bigger and bigger, and that will get me, you know, that will kind of like stop me from wasting loads of time of collecting loads of vocabulary and then making the decks, and only after all of that then starting to learn the words. I feel like doing a small one and then just adding to that over time would be better. I don't know, I'm gonna try it. And I think that is that with all my little updates. Oh no, I do. So I know before I showed you that I had a badge that I had for work to show like, oh, I'm learning Japanese. I did recently, but a little bit ago, I bought 2 new badges, an updated one for my Japanese. I might show them here actually. An updated one for my Japanese, and I got a new one to show that I should know sign language level 1. So for both of them, it should be, you know, if someone sees me and they say like, oh, she knows Japanese or sign language, then they'll be like, okay, maybe I can talk to her. But at the same time, they'll be like, but she's a student / level 1, so I'm gonna take my time with her. She might need me to go slowly. So yeah, I got some new badges, yay! That is, I think, all the bits to update you about what's been happening, what I'm thinking of doing. Yeah, I think that's it. So then all that's left for me to say is thank you so much for listening to me ramble on. Hopefully I'll see you in the next video, and for now, remember, may your grammar be structured and your vocabulary varied. Bye!